thanks for being with us for this inaugural event of the Colombo IoT Meetup. And hope you have been enjoying the session so far and looking forward to what we can do together as the Colombo IoT Meetup group. And I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the organizing committee for doing a fabulous job. Now, most of you maybe knowing Intel as the world's largest semiconductor chip manufacturing company, and maybe wondering what Intel has to do with IoT. By the way, the operation in Colombo, we are part of the Intel software division, and not many people are even aware of what Intel is doing with software either. So let me touch briefly on Intel's involvement with IoT, and then going to discuss some of the challenges coming up with IoT solutions, and especially in terms of identification of the end devices and the addressing of those. So let me start with some statistics. By 2025, 34 cities around the world are expected to have more than 10 million people. So imagine 10 million people living in a city, and it should be really congested, right? And I mean, it should be very polluted and stressful to live in such cities. But should that be the case? Why can't we use smart technologies to make these cities smarter and make them more livable? And at the moment, cities are consuming over 2/3 of energy and resources of the world. And try imagining the impact of 10 million people living in cities on top of this. Unless we do something to reduce this energy consumption and resource consumption, the city governments won't be able to cater for this demand. Right? And how we are going to achieve that? How we are going to reduce the resource consumption when the demand is increasing with the increase of population? To achieve that, we should make all the buildings, like the homes, the factories, etc., and then even the streets, like the street light stamps and so on, smarter, so that they can make smart decisions about the energy consumption and optimize the energy consumption. If you take an example, let's take an air conditioning system in a building, and if you have historical data available and even the live data available regarding the usage of the building, when people are coming in, when people are leaving, and what are the times when the building is heavily used and so on, then we should be able to extract information and make decisions on optimally controlling the air conditioning. Even the air conditioner itself should be able to make that decision. Not only air conditioners, even if you take the elevators or any other energy source, we should be able to improve the consumption, distribution of those resources with the introduction of IoT. And the cities around the world are expected to spend over $41 trillion US over the next 20 years to improve their infrastructures to support IoT. So this should be really interesting and exciting for the people who are interested in IoT, right? Because it's a tremendous revenue opportunity. So how are we going to tap into this? Now, if this infrastructure is available and we implement various IoT solutions, the citizens will be able to enjoy the benefit of that, the social and economic benefits. The infrastructures of 21st century will be more intelligent and connected, and will be able to distribute the resources more efficiently, and so I mean it will be a great city to live in. The Smart Cities project in San Jose, California, is one example. It is part of the Green Mission initiative they have. What they're doing here is, they are installing a network of sensors, measuring the air quality, the water pollution level, the traffic flows, etc., to build a lens, a system which monitors and extract information, data to make decisions. Like for instance, the particulate level in the air, and then the air pollution level, the noise level, the traffic flow, and so on. And then the city management will be able to make decisions to improve the quality of life of the citizens, and efficiently distribute the energy and other resources. And this Smart Cities project, in fact, is one of the 5 projects selected by the US government in their Smart America Challenge, which is challenging the cities, the industries, and the academia to come up with innovative IoT projects to help grow in the job opportunities and the social economic benefits to the citizens. So this is a private-public collaboration between Intel and San Jose city government, and we are using the Intel IoT referral platform to build this. 2 years ago, Intel has formed a dedicated division to deal with IoT, pulling over all the capabilities across the company, and we are really excited about the opportunities and what we have achieved so far. In fact, the last year the revenue forecast was $2 billion US, and we are expecting that to grow 18% year over year. IoT, in fact, is an evolution of compute. It is the devices connected together, generating greater and greater amounts of data, and the computing capabilities built into those devices end to end, and then using data analytics to extract information from the data these devices are generating. If you look at it, we should be able to identify 3 different domains, 3 different IoT domains, which needs slightly different solutions or approaches. The first one is the mobile Internet of Things. These are the the smartphones, the cars, or any other moving objects directly connected to the data centers or cloud through their mobile wireless infrastructure built into them. And then the home Internet of Things. These are the tablets, your PCs, game console, etc. As well as the home automation systems, the home security systems, which are getting a lot of momentum these days. And all these devices will be using various different protocols and generating different data sources. So to deal with this complexity, you will need to use Home IoT Gateway, which consolidate all these different data sources and send those back to the data center cloud. And then the third one is the industrial Internet of Things. These are the medical emergency devices, the the equipment in factories or windmills or even the retail. And even this, I mean, you will find so many various different types of protocols and data sources, and you will need industrial IoT gateways to consolidate these different data sources and connect them back to the data center of and here in the data center, then we will be aggregating, storing and analyzing this data, and it has the ability to connect end to end and extract information which will drive the transformation of businesses to be able to generate greater revenue, greater savings, and create new services and create new products through these services, and be able to monetize these products, right? A new form of revenue as well. Now, if you look back, historically we have been evolving up to this point. Now, I believe there are three key economic factors contributed towards the growth of IoT so far. The first one is the cost of sensors. They have come down by more than 2 times over the last decade. And the cost of networking has come down by 40 times. The cost of computing has come down by 60 times over the last 10 years. So these economic factors has helped making IoT practical today. If we consider any IoT solution or platform, we need to focus on some key capabilities that we need to serve. We call them the 5 key tenets, right? It starts with the security as the foundation. That is the integration of hardware and software security to help the trusted devices on the network to be able to transmit trusted data. And then we need to connect billions of devices, right? So, which means we need to be able to discover, provision and manage these devices. These devices will be using various different protocols and generating different data sources, as I mentioned earlier. And so we should be able to normalize them. And then we need to take value out of it by using data analytics. We call it the actionable analytics, which gives us results. Finally, from developers' perspective, developers should be able to create new products and services and solutions using this platform and monetize their services. So we believe these key tenets are very important in any IoT solution. So we use this as the basic building blocks of the Intel IoT platform. In fact, it is not only Intel but the other giants who are dealing with IoT solutions like the Cisco, GE, AT&T and IBM. They are also aligned with these tenets, creating a ecosystem of companies delivering IoT solutions. Now, by 2020, it is expected to have over 30 billion uniquely identified devices connected to the internet. And if we combine this with the sensor-enabled devices, it will be 212 billion, which is like 28 times the world's population by day. So how we are going to cater for this, right? Some pundits are saying, okay, there's no issue, we have IPv6 which can cater for more than this demand in terms of addressing. But we are missing the point here. It's not about the address space. It is about the limitations of the current internet architecture. using protocols like TCP/IP. So the traditional protocols like TCP/IP need some sort of processing capability, operating system, memory, and other functions to be able to implement the IP stack. And if you look at most of the IoT devices, they won't have these capabilities built in because that is not required for their primary function. So if you try building these capabilities into each and every device connected to IoT, you're going to, the device manufacturers won't be able to cater that. They won't be able to accommodate that. They will be priced out of the competition. But if you take smart devices like smartphones, where these capabilities are required anyway for their primary functions, there's no issue. You can use IP-based protocols. That is where the new protocols like MQTT comes into the picture, which optimize the communication over TCP/IP. That is still valid, right? But for majority of the devices, you won't need that. So not even that, right? Not even this power consumption of these devices. If we build that, there are other issues now. For instance, the security. If each and every device has some sort of operating system and memory, it will become a potential target for hacking. Right? And if any of those devices compromise the security, it will potentially compromise the entire system. So, in a way, it is better to have dumber devices than smart devices. Majority of the devices being dumber is a good thing from the security point of view. Even if the security of such device is compromised, you are not going to lose much, because there's very little you can do as a hacker hacking into such device, dumb device. Now most of the devices, right, they have a very specific need, like maybe their function is either sending or receiving small piece of, a minuscule piece of data, right? These devices will be repeatedly sending the same piece of information over and over, and even if you lose some of these chirps, we call it, the small data packets, it's not going to make a big difference. So, why do you bother retransmitting these data packets when there's a failure or error, right? So, if you take traditional internet protocols like TCP/IP, they rely on the sender those are called sender-oriented protocols. The sender needs to make sure that the packet is, data packet is transmitted properly, and if fail, they need to have some sort of temporary data storage to record and retransmit, right? So this is unnecessary overhead for IoT devices, most of the IoT devices. Not only that it is, unnecessary processing overhead, but also from data overhead point of view, it is adding unnecessary data overhead to the network, as well as the payload of this data packet is very small, tiny, and then you cannot justify the huge overhead coming with the IP data packets, right? So for that reason, we need to have a different protocol for most of these devices. And there are different protocols like DSS and so on, which I'm not going to go into the details, right? But here, when we have this, right, there's another important aspect, that is the devices. Do they need to be universally, uniquely identified? I don't think so, right? So as long as we can identify those within the local setup, that is sufficient. As long as the message can be interpreted locally, that is what is required. But then when you connect to the internet, you need to have some sort of a propagator node, which adds that extra intelligence required for the rest of the internet to interpret. For instance, this data church coming from various different devices can be collected and maybe as necessary pruned and bundled together into IP packets at the propagate nodes. You can also add extra context information like location and so on if needed before sending those through to the traditional internet. Right? So the gateway solutions from Intel, like the home IoT gateways and the industry IoT gateways, act as the propagator nodes. Not only that they act as propagator nodes, but they also have built-in hardware and software security. As you may, some of may know, McAfee is one of the companies of Intel who's dealing with the security side of it. And the Wind River, they are working with them in this solution, providing the Linux VM system built into one box, the gateway system. And if you are interested more about the Intel IoT solutions and the platform, please feel free to visit us on our IoT homepage. Thank you.